Hey everybody, welcome back to the Jersey Comic Crew. On today's episode, Rob and I are going over everything in the finale, the season finale of What If Episode 9. And Rob, it was definitely a doozy and some epic fighting in it.
That's right, Chris. This episode was full of action, a lot of great moments from here. And this one, unlike the other episodes of What If, where it takes something in the MCU, twists it and changes it and you get a new story, this is the culmination of events, especially from the last episode, episode 8. This episode is called What If the Watcher Broke His Oath, right? The Watcher gathers this ragtag team of adventurers, of superheroes to stop Perfect Ultron, right? He gets people from all these different universes that we see. Captain Carter, Killmonger, T'Challa as Star-Lord, the evil Doctor Sorcerer Supreme, Party Thor, and Gamora. And I have a quick question before we get into this episode. Yeah. This Gamora, right? With this... Yeah. In her universe, there was this weird, like, Tony Stark and, like, this crazy Hulkbuster armor. They were destroying Infinity Stones and gems. Mm-hmm. Did we see her episode? Where does she come from?
Yeah, I don't think we saw her unless she's supposed to be the Gamora from the episode of Star-Lord's thing, where, like, we didn't see her. We saw Nebula, and Thanos was, like, this, like, funny, cool dad who you're just kind of intimidated by with his size and strength, but... No, I think that was a kind of a new universe. I think she was put in just for that infinity machine that destroys the stones, and her and like Tony Stark of that universe were kind of like their ragtag guardians of the galaxy. Yeah, in a way.
It sounded like she killed Thanos, right, and took over like the mantle and like kind of like.
He had his weapon,
everything.
Right?
Yeah,
he had his like double-sided PS5 looking scepter thing. So I don't know. I think that was more of a new area where like the Watcher had his eye on that just in case he needed her for that machine, maybe, which was kind of a workaround writing scenario, which ended up not working anyway.
And we can still see her episode in season 2, which was confirmed.
Yeah, like that's going to be probably a continuation there. I can't see them not kind of giving us more information down the line of that universe that we kind of got a glimpse of, especially the way they kind of connected this whole first season.
Obviously, in this episode, we get the big climactic battle with Ultron, Perfect Ultron versus the Guardians of the Multiverse, which I loved hearing that name. I thought it was really cool.
You didn't want the Revengers?
I did not want the Revengers. And I kind of thought, like, hearing Guardians of the Multiverse, I was like, oh, does that mean they're going to get a spin-off show and it's just going to be them? I don't know, but then I heard season 2 was confirmed, so I don't think that's going to be a situation that we're going to see. It's going to go back to the old style, and then we're going to see some new things as it develops. But just seeing all these characters interactive, of course, Killmonger has an agenda. You see him, nobody trusts him. But the battle back and forth, them stealing the Mind Stone, all the fighting, and evil Doctor Strange being so powerful, like almost standing toe to toe with Perfect Ultron, which was a great comparison. Them having this magic body armor, it was just a fun episode to watch and watch them fight each other.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was absolutely epic when it came to the fight scenes. Also, this is kind of the Age of Ultron movie we really wanted.
Correct, 100%.
100%. Doctor Strange's protection spell, I think, is one of the best things they invented in this show.
Yes.
Which is something they need to carry over into the real universe. Because I've had this question in my head forever of, like, characters we're getting now, like Shang-Chi, into the main universe. And how is he going to go toe-to-toe with, like, a Galactus or a Doctor Doom when you have all these epic, mystical, uber-powered characters?
Yeah.
Like, he's still a guy who's throwing punches and kicks. That protection spell adds a second layer of epicness and keeps people in the fight. So I think that was a genius idea. I also love that he sent the entire, like, zombie universe on top of him at one point to help them escape that planet. Party Thor was great as, like, the comic relief, but being super strong. And I thought Peggy Carter stole the show in this one. I even liked her more in this episode than episode 1 that was all about her.
I agree.
I thought how they started off with, like, the Winter Soldier in the beginning was fantastic, and kind of like their BFF with Natasha and, like, the different way of her and Steve. Yeah. I love that. I love how the Watcher came in and grabbed everyone. He grabbed T'Challa, saving, like, Peter Quill from Ego. So I love the fight scene, but I got to say, Rob, I did like the episode before this one a little bit better than this one.
Now, why is that? You said that off the air, and I really wanted to talk about this on the air. Why did you like the episode before this more than this one? Is this kind of like that Infinity War Endgame scenario where, like, the resolution is cool and it's an epic battle, but everything leading up to it and the stakes are arguably better than the resolution?
That's a really good take because partially, yeah, I think that's a little bit of the cause and effect. And in a lot of series, right, we see this so much now in the modern take of series that are, there's no more 26 episodes in a season. It's now 10 and 13 and 8. So the climax usually is the episode right before the finale, and the finale is the wrap-up. Mm-hmm. So usually the best content is that episode before, where in the old days it was always the finale and you'd have a huge cliffhanger. So I think that's a part of it. I liked the kind of cohesive storytelling on top of the action in the last episode. This one had great action and some cool story beats, but some of it didn't add up. Like having Gamora there with that machine that didn't work doesn't really add anything, right? Besides like, oh crap, it didn't work.
Yeah, I get that.
And some of those beats were kind of like lost in the sauce to me personally. Mm-hmm. But I still thought it was a good episode. But I did think it had a little bit of a wrap up, and there's really no way to beat Ultron with Infinity Stones, which I thought was cool.
I agree. No way to beat him with Infinity Stones. It was cool. And I like how they tied everything back together with the ending. They did this epic Hawkeye shot, like Black Widow flies off with the bicycle, almost Evel Knievel style, pulls back the bow, shoots right into his eye, and then the virus gets in there, and they're fighting back and forth, ultimately resulting in like Killmonger trying to betray everybody, takes the armor, takes the Infinity Stones, and then you see Zola comes back in Vision's body, tries to fight it. Doctor Strange puts them in the like pocket dimension, and now he has to watch over. I thought that was a cool way to do this. And Doctor Strange was like, "Oh, the Watcher knew this was gonna happen. I just have to do this, and I have to watch." Which is great because season 2, like, oh, one of them could break out, and that could be the big threat, and it adds more complexity to these two known characters, and it still keeps Doctor Strange alive, quote unquote, within the multiverse, but he's essentially out of the picture and he can't interfere with other things because he has to watch this multiverse level event take place in this pocket dimension, make sure it doesn't get out. And like they're in a jail within a jail within a jail by the end of the movie.
Yeah, it's like a Chris Nolan film.
Yeah, but I mean by the end of the show. I thought it was really cool. Doctor Strange grew on me so much more in this episode. Like for you, I understand Peggy Carter stole the show, but for me it was Doctor Strange. Like every time I saw Doctor Strange, I was more with him, and like this great mystical arts, him going demonic to fight back. I thought that was a cool twist to this character that I'm so happy we got.
Yeah, I agree with you. As far as Strange fighting and stuff, me loving the Peggy stuff doesn't take away from what Strange did at all. I thought Strange was absolutely fantastic. Again, like that fight scene where he's going against Thanos in Infinity War by himself, Crimson Band's a Cyttorak, and the whole nine. They did it kind of again where like Strange is kind of like the most powerful being besides like Scarlet Witch in the universe. So I love that stuff. I kind of also love the turmoil of like love loss where they're kind of talking before the fight's about to happen. The whole plan with the Soul Stone where T'Challa was kind of like, the Thief Lord. That was epic and great. Everyone knew Killmonger was going to turn on them. Yeah. But here's one more thing, Rob, that I really wanted to mention. Because by the end of this, we get, everyone has to go back to the universe. The Watcher's like, I can't intervene, even though he technically intervened. Yeah. By bringing them all there. But he sends Natasha to a universe that doesn't have a widow. It seems like she died in the fight with Loki during the Battle of New York, during Loki's invasion of Earth. That world needed a Natasha, so she got sent to that world where like she couldn't make a time paradox or see herself or whatever the hell. And this brings up a couple of questions that also relate to like what Strange is doing, like you said, watching over this like endless fight. Yeah. Number one is, I don't think, but you got to bring the question up, right? It seemed like a world that was similar to the live-action MCU. Do you think this is kind of like a backdoor entrance of like, hey, we could be bringing characters back or we could be recasting them or whatever in the live-action if there's a Watcher or some kind of being like this, and now we've opened it to a multiverse? We could, to me, it seems like Yelena is the next Black Widow, being like the White Widow. But is this kind of like a backdoor scenario of like, hey, it's open, let you guys go crazy and just think of crazy stuff?
I think this is like an out that Marvel has created for themselves. And I think it's not something they're going to use unless absolutely necessary. And what I mean by that is that like their characters die off, they replace new characters, they diversify their portfolio of superheroes, if you will. But let's say they're interviewing somebody and they meet the next Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Maybe it's not him specifically, but it's like, oh, like this is the perfect casting for a character we killed off, like Killmonger, like T'Challa. Like, oh my God, like we need you, but like they're dead in the universe. Yep. We're gonna bring you in one way, and we're gonna use this magic backdoor watcher thing to kind of bring you into the universe, so that way you can play with all of our characters, if you will. I think it's stuff like that they allow, maybe more so with villains because they've killed off a lot of their villains. But I think it's something that Marvel is getting the fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe accustomed to and used to. So down the line, whenever they need to do this, we already understand it, because we were like, oh, remember when they did this in remember when they did this in What If years ago? Oh, they're doing the same kind of thing now. So I think they're planting seeds now for stuff down the line, and they're kind of making it future-proof, which is really cool. To talk a little bit about that universe that Natasha went to, like one, of course, like I love seeing Natasha being brought into a new universe. Her universe is dead. She was the last human alive.
Just her. Yeah.
And I think that act of him putting her in that world is why the Watcher broke his oath. Now, you know, it's so easy to say the Watcher broke his oath because he fought with Ultron and he got all these people together. But he knew this was going to happen. He knew all of that was going to happen. So I think him breaking the oath is him putting Natasha in that world where she wasn't supposed to be. And I think that's going to cause a ripple effect down the line and cause some other threat to come in season 2, which we'll see. And I'm really excited to see what that could be.
And I'm glad you said that, because my second question to you has to do with exactly that, right? Mm-hmm. I agree with you that the actual Watcher, the title of the episode, Breaking His Oath, is about Natasha going to that new universe.
Yeah.
Not kind of bringing these galaxy heroes together. And the other question is this. We've seen in comics fairly recently that Uatu loses his job or his life.
Yes.
When he intervenes and he oversteps the line, right? We've seen Nick Fury, the original like 70s white Nick Fury, insert Hasselhoff photo here.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Like,
go ahead.
Taking over the Watcher's kind of entire job, because he's like, Uatu's dead and they need a Watcher, and I've been watching over Earth this whole time, screw you. And there's this whole conspiracy within it. Him kind of making evil Sorcerer Supreme, messed up Doctor Strange, this pseudo Watcher over this pocket dimension, could be a hint to the further trajectory of this, where Strange becomes the Watcher should Uatu fail or get caught and die. Now that he knows, crap, if someone gets too strong, they can find me. Like, they see me and they broke through the dimension. Like, Ultron chased me through dimensions. Original
Sin is the comic that he's referring to, ladies and gentlemen. I can see them using that in season 2 of What If, and that's the behind the scenes, right? All these multiversal beings like die throughout the story, right? Ultimately leading to the Watcher dying, getting replaced, right? And I could definitely see them like, oh, like they start dying, and then Doctor Strange is like, hey, I need the Guardians of the Universe to come together to try to see what's going on, and they find out it's white Nick Fury. They're like, oh, what? They do that revelation, and then big fight scene at the end, blah, blah, blah. That Fury dies, and Doctor Strange takes over that mantle, and he's doing all this kind of crazy stuff, and it just kind of fits. Like, oh, there's Doctor Strange in our universe who's widely powerful, and he's doing all this kind of stuff, and then there's the Doctor Strange of the multiverse, and he becomes a Watcher. I think that'll be a really cool thing, but I do love the idea of the Watcher. I don't think they're going to kill him off right away, because like he's such a cool character. I think we're going to get a lot more time with him. The voice acting and just the talent behind him is just phenomenal. You can't top it. So as much as I like that idea, this little crazy rabbit hole we're going, I don't think that's going to happen because of the talent that they invested into the Watcher.
No, I agree with you. I think he's still going to be around. I wonder though if they're going to bring other Watchers in, because he's not the only one.
True.
Like there's more than one Watcher, and the universe and galaxies are big, and the parallel universe, as we saw just in this season. I wonder if they're going to take a little snippet of like the Green Lantern lore, where like the Guardians of the Universe are like a council, and they have to vote on things, and maybe like, hey, Uatu stepped over the line. He shouldn't have done this. He screwed his own universe. It all got destroyed. It's on him. And either they like vote him out, so now he becomes way more involved in what's going on, and he uses Strange as kind of like the scapegoat for that, or some type of interesting council of Watchers, and learning a little bit more about his job, right? Like, even in the comics, we don't really know much about him besides like, he's here to do his job, and that's to watch over the universe and make sure incredibly huge things don't disrupt it like an Ultron with Infinity Stone. So that's going to be interesting. And then obviously going forward for the next season, as we're talking about this, we're obviously going to see Steve again in this Iron Man suit we saw with the Peggy Carter last credit scene. That was a little confusing to me because it's like, hey, I found this thing and there's a human inside. It didn't look like he was frozen, so it's like, is it a dead rotting corpse in there? Like, don't open. Like
it might be like somebody from a different multiverse in there, like trying to get her help, and like that's how they're gonna like keep tying in this weird stuff.
I think it's the same one for that though.
I would hope so, and I would assume so, right? I do like your idea of the Watcher. Talk about the other Watchers, right? Because we do know that they are like this old race of aliens, and them like the Celestials serve this other entity called the Foxum or something like that, some weird name. I forget.
In the Beyonders and all that.
Exactly, right? They serve something. So maybe that could be exploring other Watchers and stuff like that and learning more about Uatu and the Watchers and the lore of that, which could then tie into Celestials and all this kind of grand scheme things that the Marvel Universe has made. I'm really excited, man. I can't wait for season 2. I know we're going to get a lot more stories, and it's just going to be a great time.
Who do you want to see in next season? Are there anyone we haven't seen? So my big thing is I would love if Marvel introduced a character we haven't seen in the MCU.
I would like that.
In What If, like not a massive character, right? Like we know we're getting She-Hulk, Moon Knight, and stuff like that. But what about like Nova? Right? Like we've seen a lot of space stuff. Like what if they introduced like a different version of Nova, which ends up being different in the MCU, the Richard Rider of the MCU.
I think my number one thing that I want, aside from like a known What If story, I guess it's kind of What If, but it's not under the What If umbrella. Okay. It's Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. I think that'd be a great episode. I think, it feels the same kind of niche that you had with Marvel Zombies. He just goes, kills everything, and this is like his debut in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then it's so easy to break the fourth wall. Like, listen, I know it killed everybody here, but the live action Ryan Reynolds, that's the real one, and we're going to be all cool. Like, I can see them doing that play. It'll be a lot of fun, and it'll bring more people into What If they do something like that. And I think it'll be really cool.
That would be perfect because he could totally obviously do the voice, no problem, if he's just sitting around talking, which he does anyway. And to have that kind of like be the beginning of possibly like mutants in the What If series, and because I know he kills a lot of mutants in that book too.
He does.
Maybe you cross that over with Marvel Zombies and he's going on even more of a killing spree. Like that would be an endless line of pure content that would be hilarious and fun. So no, I'm all about that as well.
So guys, we want to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. What you thought of Marvel's What If, the first whole season. This is the season finale. We want to hear your thoughts. If you liked it, if you watched it, and what are your thoughts in season 2? What's a story that you really want to see? Let us know down in the comments below.
And guys, thanks so much for watching. Give us a thumbs up. Like, it really helps the channel out a lot. If you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications. This is the last What If video, but you know we're going to be back for Hawkeye and everything else.
Of
If
course.
you missed any videos, check them out on the channel. They're everywhere, as you can see. And as always, I am Chris Heller. That is Rob Moran. We are the Jersey Comic Crew, and we will see you next time.